Namaste and hello, this is your Sanskrit instructor welcoming you back into lesson number 207. In this lesson, we are going to continue with the degrees of comparison in the comparative and the superlative. In the previous lesson, we learned about adding the suffixes tara and tama to the comparative and the superlative adjectives, respectively. So when you were adding tara, you were getting an er ending to your suffix in English. And then when you were adding tama, it was like adding an est to an adjective in English. And now we are going to work more with the comparative and the superlative degrees of comparison. So adjectives denoting qualities can also form their comparative and their superlative with the suffixes Eeyas and Ishtha. Before these two suffixes are added, adjectives of more than one syllable lose their last vowel and the consonant which follows, if any. Some other changes occur which are shown in the following list, and there's not necessarily much of an explanation to these changes, but take a look to see what they are. So, for our first adjective is the word firm, which means dridha. Dridha changes the dri turns into dra. So for the comparative, you end up having dradhiyas because you're adding your es at the end. And then for the superlative, because you're adding ishtha, you're going to end up with dradhishtha. So that would be firmer and firmest. Next, we have mridu for soft. So you end up with mridiyas for the comparative and mridiyas actually because it's iyas that is added. As you can see, you're adding either iyas or ishtha. So for firm, dradhiyas and dradhishtha. And then for softer, you have mradiyas. And then for softest, you have mradishtha. For broad, the Sanskrit word for broad is prithu. So you're dropping this final u and you're ending up with pritiyas. And then for broader, and then for broadest, you have pritishta. Notice how the final vowels are being dropped, even for this one, the hidden is being dropped, and then you're adding your iyas. So in that case, there's not going to be a sandhi rule that applies after you're adding your iyas or your ishtha. Now for thin, you have krish, and then you end up with krashiyas and krashishtha. For light, we have laghu. Lighter, we have laghiyas and laghishtha. For clever, partu. For comparative and superlative respectively, we have partiyas and partishtha. For heavy, we have guru. You end up with gariyam, and then garishtha. For long, we have dirgha, we have draghiyas and It's not even draghiyas, it's draghiyas and draghishtha. So those are two changes. For the word deer, we have priya. And then for the comparative, we have preyas. And then for the superlative, you have Ishtha. For the words better and best, we have Shreyas and Shrestha. For steady, we have Sthira. You end up with Stheyas and Stheshtha. For the next set of adjectives, distant, Dura, we have Daviyas and Davishtha. Big, Stula, you have, for comparative and superlative, Staviyas and Stavishtha. For wide, we have Uru, you end up with Variyas and Varishtha. For young, we have Yovan. For comparative and superlative, you have Yaviyas and Yavishtha. For small, we have Kshudra, we have Kshodiyas and Kshodishtha. For quick, we have Kshipra. You end up with comparative and superlative, Kshepiyas and Kshepishtha. For little, Alpa, we have Kaniyas and Kanishtha. For old, Buddha, we have Jayas and Jeshtha. For much, we have Bahu. And then for comparative and superlative, we have, and that would basically be the words more and most. More would be Bhayas and Bhuyas, and then most would be Bhuyishtha. The word for strong in Sanskrit is Balavat. For stronger, we have Baliyas, and then for strongest, we have Balishtha. For the word near in Sanskrit is Antika. For the comparative, you have Nediyas, and then for the superlative, we have Nedishtha. So the way how the comparative in Ishtha is declined is that if it's masculine, you're going to decline it like Kupaha, and if it is neuter, you're going to decline it like Vanam. So basically, this column, the superlative, this column, the superlative column, and this one too, this superlative column. These two columns would be declined like Kupaha for masculine and Vanam in the neuter, just like the last suffixes that we dealt with, the Tara and the Tama, for the comparative and superlative. Now, the suffix Eeyas is declined in a different way, and that we are going to go over in the next video. So with that, this is your Sanskrit instructor signing off with a namaste, and I would suggest to write down this table, the adjectives, comparative, and the superlative. And again, this is your Sanskrit instructor signing off with a namaste.